Back 4 Blood, the 4-player co-op survival zombie shooter from Turtle Rock Studios, the team that brought you the original Left 4 Dead, will open its doors back up to players, beginning with an early access open beta that runs from August 5th to the 9th for players who've pre-ordered, with a fully open beta to follow from August 12th to the 16th. To kick off our month-long IGN First for Back 4 Blood, I was able to visit Turtle Rock for a sneak peek at what they have in store for players with regards to both PVE and PVP. And while I was regularly grabbed, puked on, set on fire, and covered in sticky, debilitating phlegm, the one thing that was on my mind as I left the studio was, man, I want to play some more. If you're not up to speed on Back 4 Blood, first, I'd highly recommend that you check out our previous coverage of the alpha, but the main thing that you need to know is that it's you and 3 other friends facing off against a zombie horde with a heavy teamwork-oriented focus, much like Left 4 Dead. But there's a key twist, which is the fact that at the core of the experience is a deck-building card system that allows players to build decks of stat-altering cards that help define the roles each player has on a squad. There are cards meant for players who want to play a healer, cards for those who want to be a leader by calling out and marking special zombies, cards for those who want to scavenge supplies across the map, and cards for those who just want to focus on bashing zombies' faces in. At each safe house, and also after each continue if your team wipes, you're able to add a new card from your deck to your set of active cards, which can often be just the leg up you need to meet the rising difficulty with each new level within an act. The cards aren't just for you either. Every level of Back 4 Blood introduces a number of corruption cards that can enhance the Ridden in specific ways, create challenging world events for your squad to overcome, and even offer a reward for completing an optional challenge that encourages your team to play a certain way, whether it be challenging you to play fast enough to beat a speedrun challenge, or careful enough to get through the level without scaring birds or triggering a horde. All of this is stuff that we got a small taste of in the alpha, but the beta really kicks it up a notch, especially on the corruption card side. One round dealt us a card that would trigger a horde every couple of minutes regardless of what's currently happening in the level, which completely changed how we had to play the game. It caused our team to keep an eye on the countdown clock and call out when a horde was approaching, so we could attempt to find somewhere that's relatively defendable. Of course, that's not always possible in Back 4 Blood, and we eventually ended up having to fight off a horde in an area that was open on all sides, and had a pack of birds that inevitably got spooked, which triggered another horde. The whole thing left our squad in utter shambles, and we had to go through it again in just 2.5 minutes. As a vehicle to drive the variation of each run, the corruption card system is extraordinarily effective, and when combined with the more subtle, under-the-hood tweaks of the game director, which orchestrates all the item and enemy spawns, it's easy to see that a clear focus of the team at Turtle Rock is making every run of Back 4 Blood feel as distinct as it can. And so far, it's a goal that they're absolutely succeeding at. Based on my experience with the alpha, I expected to have a great time with the PvE of Back 4 Blood, and I absolutely did. But as someone who's typically very lukewarm on most competitive, asymmetrical multiplayer modes, what I didn't expect was that I would absolutely love its PvP swarm mode. It's 4 vs 4, cleaners vs Ridden in short, bite-sized rounds that have the human players fortifying their defenses in a relatively compact arena and surviving against hordes of AI-controlled zombies with player-controlled special Ridden interspersed in the mix. The Ridden players must attempt to wipe the opposing team as fast as they can. After a round ends, the team switch sides, and the team that survives the longest as the cleaners wins. Every round begins for the cleaners with a scavenging period where they can explore the level for supply boxes that contain randomly placed goodies like medkits, grenades, molotovs, razor wire, and an assortment of weapons. Once the scavenge period ends, the Ridden start to spawn, though player-controlled special Ridden can only spawn in locations that are out of sight of the cleaners. One of the most crucial pieces of strategy that I found out was that as the Ridden, it becomes extremely important to coordinate your spawns so that you don't spawn and die one at a time. Even tankier Ridden like the Tall Boys can go down quickly against coordinated fire from the other team, and while the spawn timers are relatively short, this is still a game mode where every second matters. It's also worth pointing out that there are 9 different types of Ridden to choose from, with 3 main classes and 3 mutations within each of those classes, though only 6 are available in the beta with 2 mutations for each class. Each Ridden is designed to be really good in one environment and kind of weak in another, making it critical to switch to a different monster depending on what the situation calls for. Tall Boys and Exploders are phenomenal if a team tries to hole up inside a house, but if they're out in the open, a well-coordinated team can spot them and take them down before they cause any damage. Wretches, meanwhile, aren't great in a one-on-one fight, but can force a team that's sticking together to split up with their AoE puke. And finally, the Stinger type Ridden are near useless indoors since they die so quickly, but are able to wreak havoc from long range and can force a cleaner team to try and take cover indoors, making them easy prey for your teammates. The Cleaners, meanwhile, play very much like they normally would in a PvE game of Back 4 Blood. They must constantly be communicating, calling out locations of special Ridden, taking care not to split off from their team, and always be ready to break an ally out of a bind. There's also a completely separate set of cards that are designed purely around PvP that players can equip themselves with in order to establish roles on their team. For example, the Squad Leader deck comes with a card that allows players to mark special Riddens for the whole team to see, which is invaluable when it comes to locating elusive Stingers or coordinating attacks on the more tanky enemies. All in all, it felt really well designed. And while it's hard to get a feel for how balanced it is as a whole after just a few rounds, Sworn felt like a mode that I could see myself spending just as much time with as the PvE. The full Blue Dog Hollow chapter is something of an endurance run for sure, with each level taking anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, capped off by a thrilling finale that had us desperately trying to close up a mine with a howitzer, while a literal army of zombies swarmed us from every direction. I genuinely can't wait to get back in and experience it with my own friend group. And fortunately, I don't have to wait very long to get my chance. The early access beta opens later this week, and the open beta follows it not too long after. Thanks for watching, and for more Back 4 Blood, make sure to stay tuned because all throughout the month of August, we'll have new videos dropping each week as part of our IGN First coverage. And of course, for everything else, keep it here on IGN.
Just make sure I don't have to carry you guys next time.